Hello, everyone. Nick Morrow here. You may see me on DraftKings and FanDuel as Nicky the Eye. I'm here with Beat the Rake DFS, a new DFS consultation company. And I'm here today just to quickly break down this UFC Vegas 48 fight card for you. And I'm going to do it with DFS in mind for both DraftKings and FanDuel. We had a pretty fun card last week, UFC 271, pretty stacked. This is not that. Certainly not as deep of a card in terms of name value, but there are 12 fights. There's definitely a lot of guys capable of scoring finishes, so it should be a pretty fun card for DFS. A few live underdogs as well. So I'm going to do exactly what I did last week. I'm just going to quickly go through each fight, kind of give my overall pick, and then just how I would approach the fight for each site, DraftKings and FanDuel for DFS purposes. There should be a link in the description to join our Discord. If you guys play on any other sites or you're interested in bets or anything like that, or you just want to talk MMA, please hop in there. We got a good community we're building now, and yeah, things are only going to grow from here. So only going to spend about a half hour, so this shouldn't take too long, but let's get into it. So first we have Jamal Hill against Johnny Walker. This is the main event. So originally it was supposed to be RDA against Rafael Fiziev, but Fiziev had visa issues. So now we have Walker Hill as the main event, which is surprisingly decent considering it was a replacement like 2 weeks ago. We've recently seen Walker go 5 rounds against Thiago Santos. Didn't really look that good. He was a bit more reserved, which was a plus, but he only threw 48 strikes across 5 rounds, which is obviously not a good thing. It's not like Santos threw many more against him, but he definitely did more damage. And then Jamal Hill, this is a guy who I keep fading and I keep being wrong. I think I'm finally going to be backing him on this card. This is a fight I expect to take place on the feet. Neither guy's really that competent of a grappler, for lack of a better word. I think they're both going to be willing to stand and strike. They're both confident in their abilities at range, but Hill's the more technical boxer. I'm going to pull up some UFC stats on my other screen. But yeah, I mean, I do like Hill here. I think if you're betting, the line's gotten a bit ridiculous. But let's take a look at DraftKings and FanDuel. So 9K flat for Hill. I actually really like that. He averages a lot of significant strikes per minute. Just a second. 7.45 significant strikes per minute. That's Hill. That scores really well on both sides. You're going to kind of need the knockout or the finish for him to hit value at this price. But Walker is definitely a guy with chin issues, so I could see it. I already have some like reserved lineups in, so I'm just trying to enter new lineup. Okay. So yeah, Hill's 22 on FanDuel. That's pretty pricey. I think if you do go there, you probably want him at captain. But that being said, these expensive guys we saw last week, they're going to be higher owned at captain. So if you can find finishing equity in some of these mid to lower range guys, that's where you're going to find ways to make yourself different. But at the same time, I do see Hill being one of the top scorers on the slate. I think as long as he wins here, he should easily have over 100 fantasy points on both sides. Easier on FanDuel though, because they do score strikes better. As for Johnny Walker, he is, let's see, $13 on FanDuel, which is definitely a bargain. And 7,200 on DraftKings. So, I mean, if you are playing multiple lineups, as much as I like Hill, Walker is one of the better underdogs. He can certainly win via KO. He's at his best when he's really flashy, flamboyant, throwing crazy kicks, Superman punches, things like that. But he's coached by John Kavanagh now, who's McGregor's coach. And I don't know, he's good with McGregor, but he's really slowed Walker down. He's been super reserved, but we only have one fight to kind of base that off of. So maybe Walker gets back to what's worked for him in the past today. I'm not confident in that happening. I'd rather have a lot of Hill here. But if I'm playing like say 10 lineups and I have 8 or 7 or 8 with Hill, I definitely want Walker in 2 or 3 just to kind of hedge. He is live as an underdog, and I think his clearest path to victory would be by finish. I think if it goes to the scorecards, it's going to be tough for him to win on volume. He averages just over 3 significant strikes per minute, where Hill averages 7. So keep that in mind. But yeah, fun main event. Considering it was a late kind of promotion to the main event, I am pretty pleased with it. This next fight, Kyle Dawkins against Jamie Pickett. Dawkins is the brother of Chris Dawkins, who's a successful heavyweight right now. He was recently knocked out by Derek Lewis. But yeah, Kyle, he's definitely in the tougher division at middleweight. Really good Brazilian jiu-jitsu, great ground game, really durable. We haven't seen him find a ton of success lately, but I think this is the type of matchup that he should thrive in. Pickett's a dangerous striker, certainly has some upside as an underdog, but yeah, he doesn't have much of a ground game, and I think that's where we're going to see Dawkins shine here. Yeah, neither of these guys lands a ton of strikes per minute. Pickett definitely the more dangerous of the two, but we've seen him be pretty hesitant in recent fights. He has a negative striking differential. He absorbs 4 per minute and he only lands 3, so that's obviously a big negative. And yeah, but Pickett has a 68 takedown defense, which is actually decent, but Dawkins just keeps getting better on his entries. You see a lot of these jiu-jitsu guys, they struggle to get the fight to the mat. So I like to see them working on their wrestling, working on those takedown entries, because obviously you can't win via submission if you can't get the fight to a place where you can kind of find one. So I like Dawkins here. 8,800 does feel a little bit pricey, but I think it's reasonable. On FanDuel, 20, not bad. Probably not my favorite play. I do think he gets takedowns here, but you're not scored for control time on FanDuel and you are on DraftKings. So I think I'd like him more on DraftKings, but you really are kind of chasing that submission either way. $10 on FanDuel. He's a live underdog. This is at a 195-pound catch weight. So I think Pickett's going to have a decent size advantage here. He's definitely got a bigger frame than Dawkins. But yeah, Dawkins is my pick. I'll have more of him, but I would say yes, Pickett is a viable underdog on both sides. So moving right along, we have good old Parker Porter against Alan Baudot. Porter was kind of a laughing stock coming into the UFC. Like he was knocked out by John Jones like a decade ago. He's spent his whole life on the regional scene, but he's now coming off 2 wins, and he's like a minus 260 favorite coming into this fight. So the big thing about Parker Porter, other than his frame, is that he throws a ton of significant strikes for a heavyweight. He's landing more than 8 per minute. And when you see this guy, you're going to think, oh man, he's probably got 1 round of cardio. But we've seen in his win over Sherman and his win over Parisian that he can go a full 15 minutes. I don't feel the same about Baudot. This Alan Baudot dude, he's a judo, I think, black belt, but we really haven't seen him use it at all at the UFC level. He's lost both his fights so far. I think with another loss today, he probably gets cut from the roster. He's one of these guys that I think is probably only in there as a favor to maybe Cyril Gahn because they fight out of the same camp. They have Imavov over there as well. But yeah, I don't like Baudot here at all. I will say it is heavyweights. Like I was pretty confident in Derek Lewis last week, but we saw what Tai Tuivasa did, and I think that's just a really kind of microcosm of that division. Like if there's 2 guys in there, they're huge and they got powerful fists. So anything could happen. That being said, I do like Porter here a lot. 8,900 on DraftKings is just excellent price. On FanDuel, he's a little pricey. 21, tougher to get to. And yeah, I just really have no interest in Baudot. He seems to fold once he gets hit. Like he looks decent technically at range, but as soon as someone closes the distance on him, he kind of folds, which isn't good if you're a professional fighter. So yeah, really don't like Baudot here. I do like Porter, but I think the public's like a little bit heavier on Parker Porter than maybe they should be. He's looked good. This is a favorable matchup, but he's still like not really a top 15 heavyweight in the world, in my opinion. So I don't know. I like Porter. I like him better on DraftKings. Definitely viable on both sides. Whereas Pickett and Walker are good underdogs here. I don't really see Baudot as the same. I mean, the one thing he has going for him is that he's a heavyweight. So I don't know. More Porter for me than Baudot here for sure. But I don't want to go too crazy at that price because if he doesn't get the knockout, and I think he will, it's going to be harder to pay off value. But we'll see. I like the volume. I think that kind of hedges. So then we have Nicolas Mota against Jim Miller. Jim Miller's an OG in the game, man. He's been fighting. I think he has the record. He's tied with Arlovsky and I think Cerrone for most fights and wins in the UFC, something like that. This kid Nicolas Mota, he's making his debut coming off a contender series win. Looked good in that fight. Fairly well rounded. He's a guy who trains with RDA. I think he's on this card because RDA was originally supposed to be the main event. But I mean, you go to his record and he actually has some decent wins. CFFC is a good promotion, 5-1, 6-1, 6-1. He's beating actual good guys. We'll talk about some other up and comers later down this card where you'll see their opponents are all like terrible records, like 0-4 or 1-1. Like it's tough to trust a guy like that making his debut. But I do like Moda. I think he's a good prospect. But I do feel like this is still too soon for him here. Jim Miller did not look good his last time out, even though he won against this Ghost Pepper Gonzalez kid. He won via KO, which is rare for him. But yeah, now you're getting dog money on Jim Miller against the debutant, which is always usually going to be good value. The one concern is Miller is getting up there in age. Like his chin could just give out at any moment once you get into this once you start pushing your 40s in these lighter weight classes. But yeah, he's one of my favorite underdogs on the slate. I'm gonna have a ton for DFS. And I think his clearest path to victory is going to be via submission in the first round. So that's going to score really well if he can do it. I probably wouldn't use him at captain, but at $13 on FanDuel, he's one of my favorite value plays. 7,700 on DraftKings, not quite as favorable, but I do like him. Let's say you're playing 10 lineups. I'd probably have Miller in 5 or 6 and Moda in 2 or 3, just because I mean, this kid does strike well. He's not a huge power puncher, which is why I'm pretty confident in Jim here, but he can throw really strong combinations and put guys away with volume. So just something to keep in mind. But he's one of my favorite value plays on the slate. The next fight features another one of my favorite value plays. We have Joaquin Buckley against Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. These guys are both monsters. True KO power. Buckley's known for that spinning wheel kick KO he had on Impa Kasaganai in 2020. Abdul came into the UFC knocking everybody out. Huge KO wins over guys like Nico Price. To me, the better prospect of the two, but definitely rougher around the edges. The biggest knock on ARA, which is what I'm going to call Abdul, is his cardio. He seems to gas. Like if he can't get the fight to end in the first round, he usually starts to run out of gas. But he recently shifted camps to Team Elevation in Denver, which is good because when you train above sea level, yeah, you're able to kind of go for longer, if that makes sense. So yeah, I do like ARA here as an underdog. I think he pulls off the upset probably via KO. 15 on FanDuel is not exactly a huge bargain, but I love his upside. 7,900 on DraftKings, same deal. I will say Buckley is certainly live here. I don't know that I think he should be the favorite, but it is, I don't know, it's a proper line. Let me see. I don't want to say it's proper if I don't like it, but yeah, I mean, Buckley's up to -170 in some books. I mean, this should be closer to a pick'em in my opinion. So the value is really on Abdul, but I don't want to completely fade Buckley because he's very live for a knockout. And obviously you're going to need finishes on a smaller card like this. So yeah, I like ARA for value. So that's back-to-back value plays I like. I know I kind of opened up with some heavy favorites, but ARA and Jim Miller are both excellent value options here. But yeah, get some Buckley too. Kid can definitely knock a dude out. So next fight here is really interesting. We have David Onama against Gabriel Benitez. This fight, I believe, is taking place at 145. Onama made his debut at 155 against the super prospect Mason Jones. He was like a +300 something underdog. Looked great. He lost every round, but I mean, he really gave Jones a run for his money, made him work. Went full 15 minutes, pushed excellent pace, almost took the third round. But yeah, I like Onama a lot. Gabriel Mowgli Benitez, he's definitely the more experienced fighter here. You could obviously see that by the records. But he's coming off kind of an ugly KO loss to Billy Quarantillo, who's not exactly known as a power puncher. Benitez missed weight again for this fight. I've heard rumors that he was trying to get a 150-pound catch weight. Namas in his camp said no, so I don't know. Probably a little too much hype on Onama, honestly, given we haven't seen that much of him. But yeah, the line's at -160. I do like his odds there. And let's see, 8,400 on DK is totally reasonable. 17 on FanDuel is fine. But Benitez is a live underdog. I don't love the $15 price on FanDuel, but I really kind of like the 7,800 on DraftKings if you do need more value. But Onam is the pick. Well-rounded guy. I don't know that he's just going to starch Benitez or anything like that, but I think he actually is the more powerful wrestling base. I think he can secure takedowns if he needs them. He should match Benitez on volume. And I think his strikes are going to be pretty damn meaningful when he throws them. So tough fight. It's always kind of scary to pick the kid against the vet, but Onama averaged right around 6 significant strikes in his debut, which is going to score well here. And yeah, I think he can score takedowns too if he needs them. The only win Benitez has had over the past 2 years came to Justin James, a guy who's no longer on the UFC roster. He actually lost his regional scene fight too. So yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Benitez have any real success. Certainly a live underdog here. I like him more than guys like Moda, but not nearly as much as a guy like Miller or ARA. So keep plugging along. Interesting scrap here, women's bantamweight, Jessica Rose Clark against Stephanie Egger. Rose Clark, kind of known as a striker, but her last fight, she only wrestled. It was smart. She was taking on a very rangy striker in Jocelyn Edwards. But yeah, it was really boring style. I mean, she scored fine for DFS. She got her takedowns. But if she's not going to get a finish here, I don't want to pay too much for her. 8,600 feels a little pricey. Egger at 7,600 is an okay underdog, but if she wins, I don't see her scoring all that well. This is a fight I see going to the scorecards in all likelihood, so I really don't need either girl here. If there is a fight I'm not that interested in, it's not because it's girls, it's just because the finish isn't likely. So I don't know. I kind of like Clark. I could see mixing in some shares of Egger if you need the value. But again, not a fight I'm crazy about on either side. Another prelim fight we have here, Chaz Skelly against Mark Streagle. Skelly definitely the more accomplished of the two because he's been in the UFC for most of his career, but I did find it interesting. These guys have the exact same records and they both have 1-0 contest on their record as well, which is pretty funny. But Mark Streagle, man, I mean, he got rocked by Said Nurmagomedov in his debut, but he's had some really strong regional experience as well. I am concerned about some of these recent wins over guys like Gi-Sung Kim, Du Kyum Lee. Like I never heard of either of them. And yeah, when you're beating guys with no record like this deep in your career, that's usually a bad sign. But I will say this, he's been inactive lately. And he's switched camps to MMA Lab. I know he's listed at Fist Gym on Tapology, but he's at MMA Lab now, which is an excellent camp. I think the inactivity is actually going to play to his favor. He's probably sharpened some of the skills that he was struggling with. The issue is, I mean, he's facing Skelly, though, who's just like an outstanding wrestler, grappler. He's been really inactive as well. But he announced this week that he's probably going to retire after this fight, which to me is always a red flag. So I'm picking Streagle here for the upset. It's not a confident play at all. I want to say this, Skelly would score well in a win. He's going to secure a bunch of takedowns. So I definitely want some shares of him here. But I think Streagle, he is an underrated Sambo base, which is kind of the Russian style wrestling we see. And I think he should be able to hang with Skelly here. So if he can survive round 1 or 2, Skelly might take him down, but as long as he doesn't submit, as long as he kind of gasses Skelly out a bit, I think he's in better shape. I think he can maybe take over in the 2nd or 3rd round. So Streagle's my pick, another underdog I like. Not nearly as confident in him as I am Jim Miller or ARA, but I like him for value. But like I said, as much as I don't want to pick Skelly, and I'm not, I think you do need shares for DFS just because he is a wrestler and he's going to execute a grappling heavy game plan. So should be a fun fight though. That's what I'm looking forward to. I like Skelly, not a huge fan, but I'm interested to see how Streagle hangs here because yeah, he looked terrible against Nurmagomedov, but who doesn't? Next fight here, another close one, Diana Balbita against Gloria de Paula. These are two of the stronger women you'll see at strawweight. And if there was a fight I was targeting for DFS on the women's side, it'd probably be this one. And it's probably Diana Balbita. She averages 6.7 significant strikes landed per minute, only $16 on FanDuel, and we get her at 8,200 on DraftKings. I don't think she can get a finish here, but DePaula was KO'd by Cheyenne Vlismus her last time out. She was taken down a bunch of times by Jin Yu Fry the fight before that. So there is some upside for Balbita here. That being said, like, I'm not crazy about Diana Balbita's ceiling as a prospect or anything like that. The Paula is a live underdog for sure. So 8K on DraftKings, I really don't like. And then, yeah, she's the same price as Balbita on FanDuel. So I probably won't get to her much at these prices, but she's viable. It's just there's better underdogs. Again, I know I sound like a broken record, but ARA, Jim Miller, two of my favorites. And yeah, I'd ring Streagle above, what's her name? The Paula probably as well, even though the line's much wider. A couple more fights, and sorry I'm ripping through these guys, but these are really just kind of low level. Jesse Strader against Chad and Helliger. And Helliger looked really good in his Contender Series fight. He was a huge underdog. They were kind of just feeding him to this Muin Gafarov guy, plus 340, which is definitely pretty damn wide of a line. I know I didn't have money on him, that's for sure. But he's taking on this kid, Jesse Strader, most known as Aaron Carter's boxing coach. He got completely starched in his debut, but he took on Montel Jackson. So it was just a really tough matchup for him. But yeah, he's another one of these guys. When you look at the regional record, he fought Marcelo Rojo, who's 0-2 in the UFC, got knocked out. Other than that, he's really no great wins. Like, he has the win over this 4-0 dude, but I looked him up and he's lost 2 of his fights since. So I just don't see Strader as UFC level. I'm not sure Ann Helliger is either, but I certainly think he's closer to being UFC level than the Strader kid. So I don't know. Not a fight I'm crazy about, just because both of these guys are kind of regional fighters, but I don't think Ann Helliger is going to lose here. I think 9,100 is a little pricey. I think we're looking at a similar deal on FanDuel. Yeah, $20 isn't bad, but I think he gets the knockout probably second round after a little bit of a feeling out process. So I like Ann Helliger here, but I don't know a ton about him. I mean, it's a guy who's been on the regional scene for years, making his debut. He doesn't have too many notable wins other than that recent one against Muin Gafarov, but he did KO Brady Heinstein, who was kind of a standout on the most recent series of The Ultimate Fighter. So we have seen more from Ann Helliger. Yeah, I think he gets it done here. But I don't know. I just hate paying so much for guys who've never even fought in the UFC. But that's really the only thing holding me back. I do think he secures a win. Another very high price guy who I like in the next fight is Jonathan Pierce, taking on Christian Rodriguez. Christian Rodriguez coming off a decent Contender Series win over Junior Ortiz. Really scrappy 3-round fight. Looked good in scrambles, good striker. The issue for him here is he's taking on Jonathan Pierce, who's kind of a massive featherweight. Pierce coming off back-to-back wins, including a huge upset over Omar Morales. This is a guy who mixes in takedowns. Not exactly a one-shot power KO type guy, but he can knock guys out with volume, which we've seen plenty of times from him. Pierce is one of my favorite pay-ups on the slate. Let's see. He's up to a -400 in some books, -350 at most. I don't know. I just think he wins. I like this Rodriguez kid. I think some people are going to see that he's undefeated and overrate that. But yeah, he just hasn't been tested much at all at this level. Some decent regional wins, but mostly guys with losing records and things like that. And yeah, he just got a win after his Contender Series fight because they didn't give him a contract. He knocked out some guy who probably shouldn't be fighting professionally anymore. Yeah, loss. So I'll have a bunch of shares of Pierce here. Really not that interested in Rodriguez. I think he's a prospect to keep an eye on, but this feels like too much too soon. I think the UFC is going to hand him a loss here, humble him a little bit, and hopefully he comes back stronger. Then the fight to open the card, we have Jay Perrin, who's from Massachusetts, against Mario Batista. We saw Batista kind of, yeah, Batista's worst performance of his career, probably last time out, getting KO'd by Trevin Jones, but Jones does have flash KO power. I'm pretty damn confident in Batista to get it done here. Take a quick look at price. 9,200, definitely on the pricey side. Jay Perrin, 7K flat. Tough kid, can wrestle a little bit, but not really someone I'm interested in. I think I could see Perrin honestly keeping the first round pretty competitive. But after that, I expect he starts to gas out. He is taking this fight on short notice. And Batista's just a trusty vet. So, yeah, let's keep that in mind. But I don't know. I think I've kind of started building a core here. We got Hill, Porter, Miller, Abdul. I think that's a good place to start. I wouldn't use Miller or Abdul in all your lineups, but if you're building one, they're probably my two favorite underdogs. And then on FanDuel, similar deal. Say you go Pierce at captain, maybe 21. You could fit maybe. See, I don't know. I like Hill, but I don't know that I want to pay 22 for him. Then you go Porter. Where's some value? I think Streagle's really cheap on FanDuel. Yeah, 11, something like that. You go Miller. 17 left per fighter. That seems like a pretty strong core. Let's see here. So yeah, that's really all for today, guys. Fun card, a lot of finishing potential. All my picks are right here on the right. But yeah, Beat the Rake DFS. It's our new site / Patreon. Be sure to come join us in Discord. We have a nice week break off from NBA, but as soon as that season picks up, I know we'll all be in there grinding. We got EPL content for free in there, right? Or no, EPL is definitely not for free. That's probably our second biggest sport right now. But we have channels open for PGA, some of the other kind of fringe sports, NASCAR. You could go in and talk DFS for free. But if you want one-on-one access to us, our Patreon's very cheap compared to some of the other DFS sites out there. We're happy to give one-on-one coaching. We'll talk you through lineup builds, anything like that. Our aim is just to be as personable as possible in helping you be better at DFS and make more money. So yeah, I'm looking forward to these fights. We have 4 hours my time currently until they lock. I'm going to upload this video and then I'll be in Discord kind of chopping it up with you guys. But yeah, let's have some fun today. Definitely mix your underdogs up. Don't use the same underdog in every lineup. If you're playing multiple, this is a very volatile sport. So keep that in mind. Definitely a better card next week, but hey, if there's fights on, I'm watching. I know I was watching PFL last night. There's some Bellator on tonight as well. But yeah, looking forward to it. So have fun and good luck, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.